The Millbrook Corridor has been an important ecological and economic feature in Arlington since the area was first settled back in the mid-16th century.
The milling industry along Millbrook, there was, and most of them were operated by the Cutter family, 26 mills along that Millbrook with their mill ponds. So it was the first industrialization of this area.
The Mystic River Watershed Association is collaborating with the Town of Arlington, the Conservation Commission, the Park and Recreation Commission, and the Millbrook Study Group to revitalize the area by creating a linear park. The project plan focuses on Wellington Park and the area around the Millbrook Corridor from Brattle Street to Grove Street. Heading this project for the MRWA is Mystic's Greenways Director, Amber Christofferson.
What's here in dormant stages right now is a lot of invasive plant species, which are choking out native species and don't provide a lot of ecological value. You also have this old chain link fence. You can see trees growing into it. In addition to not being attractive, it's also choking out some of the native trees that are growing here. And then when you look a little bit closer into the brook, there are some degraded, cemented side banks of the river, which are not your typical ecologically valuable planted natural edges. So those are some of the issues that we're trying to address with this project is both one, open up access so people can see the brook and interact with it, and also improve the quality of the environment along the banks and adjacent to the banks. Yeah, so the Mystic River Watershed Association has been monitoring the water quality of Millbrook for years, as we have many of the other water bodies across the watershed. And unfortunately, this brook gets a D+ grade, which means that there are high levels of bacteria. So one kind of impetus for this project was to also look at how some of these environmental restoration projects could be improving the water quality and looking at some of the stormwater outfalls and what could be done to address some of those issues.
This is not the first time that the concept for a linear park has been proposed. Previous studies and reports have contributed to the development of the current project, including a 1977 concept study and a 2010 report updating the conditions, challenges, and opportunities for the area.
In the 1970s, there was a community-driven idea for a Millbrook linear corridor or park. So the idea was that you could walk and experience the entire length of Millbrook from the Arlington Reservoir to the Mystic Lakes. So again, this idea has been around for about 40 years. It kind of had a resurgence back in the 2000s when community members got together and in 2010 published the Millbrook Linear Park Study. So that was again another attempt to look at this corridor more holistically and make it a recreational and environmental asset for the town.
The MRWA is already asking for feedback from abutting businesses and residential property owners. A combination of public and private ownership makes things more complicated. The parcels along the Millbrook are owned by both the Town of Arlington and the neighboring Millbrook Condominium Association.
We have been in discussions with folks that represent the condos here to kind of hear their ideas, as this is really their backyard, and hearing their ideas and concerns about public access, environmental improvements. What I would say about the business communities, mostly here on Dudley Street, is that, this really hasn't been an asset for them, but I think it can be an interesting economic development by improving access to the brook. You bring more people on foot. They want to visit businesses. I know some of the businesses here often use this area as a cut through to get to Mass Ave. So we could make that route a little bit more appealing for them potentially. And again, this is all the start of a long dialogue. This project will be ongoing for several years.
For Arlington Public News, I'm Sebastian Gonzalez Johnson.